Hello, everyone. My name is Mike Turner, and today we'll be talking about where and how I'm investing my money in 2023. You should know that I don't have a day job. This is what I do. I invest my money full time, so that I can support my family and live a comfortable lifestyle and all that kind of stuff. The reason why I bring that up because of those stakes, I can't really afford to lose. Or in other words, I have to win enough times, right? Because you're not going to win 100% all the time, but I have to win enough so that I can make enough to support my family. And so my investments that I pick, I like my favorite criteria are the ones that are predictable, yeah, all right, that are protected so they don't go down to zero or lose half their value in a day. They're of course profitable. Oh, I got a typo in there. Um, and passive would be really nice too, right? So that I don't have to always go out there and hustle it up, make things happen. It's just or deal with things or have drama. I just like money in my bank account. That's the best ones, that's the best type of investments. So I'm going to go into exactly what I'm doing in 2023. I think this is a very solid strategy that I'm going to lay out for you. So buckle in. I hope you get something out of this. And yeah, okay. So before we go into too much, oh, look at this. This is funny. Move this. There we are. This is my family right here. I'll give you a little bit of a quick rundown. I'm actually from Alaska. I grew up in an island in Alaska, and I eventually left there. I went to school to be a ship captain. Got a business degree there too. Met a girl. Decided not to go out to sea. This is the girl I met. Her name's Amanda. She's super cool. By the way, she is a New York Times best-selling author. She writes humor books. Her name's Amanda Turner. You should check her out. Super, super awesome. Anyway, these are my two lovely kids. You can see these Impact Club t-shirts are wearing. That's something that I do on the side. I started an organization here in Boise called Impact Club Boise about 5 years ago, and we've donated over 400,000. This organization has helped raise over $400,000 back to local nonprofits to help support our community. Yeah. So excited about that organization. Can't wait till this number is closer to 1 million. I know we'll get there soon. Okay. Also, my investment side. So for the last 20 years, I've been mostly in real estate. Okay. So I started out as a real estate investor, got my license, decided, oh, I'll do this realtor gig. End up just going all in on that. Opened a big brokerage downtown Boise, in downtown Boise called Front Street Brokers. That was a fun experience. A handful of years ago, I sold or merged that company with another one, and and then started going back to real estate investing, and kind of doing that full time, right? Just basically investing full time going forward. One of the key things that really helped me in my real estate career is that I somehow found myself on a radio show. I hosted a radio show for about a decade. Once a week, I go in live and talk to my community about real estate. And sometimes I'd field questions, but always I had to become prepared. And what that forced me to do is each and every week I would have to study about what was going on in the marketplace, and different strategies and different types of real estate and different types of whatever questions people had. I wanted to try to be able to provide them an answer. So it forced me to really hone in and understand and pay attention and learn about my market. And over a course of a decade, I found that, wow, it put me in a position where my knowledge base was a much higher level than most people in my industry. Okay. All right. So it was very helpful, and it still is today, because now, or last few years, I've been flipping houses. So in the last couple of years, I flipped over 25 houses. This has been a great run, but this summer of 2022 is when, of course, the big wet blanket hit the real estate market, especially in Boise, when the interest rates went from 3.1% in January, and by March they were like 5.9, and then soon after that they're in the sixes, and everything slowed down. It peaked out in October at 7 something percent, 7.3, I think it was. So this big wet blanket hit the Boise market. And this was actually a really good thing. It needed to happen. It was way too overheated, but it was also good because it reminded me like that I needed to get back to my goal that I've had for a long time, and is to build more passive income, because flipping's good money, but it's risky, right? Market can change fast and things can happen with a house. And that's good. I can handle some risk, but I also want to be building some more passive, predictable income so that I don't have to live with a lot of anxiety or stress about making enough to make ends meet, for my family. Okay, right? So this is what I'm going to go through today. Exactly what my strategy is for that I started in 2022, like midsummer, and now I'm going all in on 2023. All right, here we go. So real quick, so investment options. So how I came up with the strategy, real quick, is that you just kind of look at the options of what's out there for you to invest your money into. And stocks and bonds, yeah, most people, this is where they have their money, right? It's in a retirement account, it's in a 401k. They buy some stocks, they buy a mutual fund, they buy index fund. If they're smart, if they have a higher level of knowledge with this stuff, you can, get into doing options and calls and do some other trickery stuff. That can be good, right? It's good stuff. There's some good strategies in there, but I just don't like how it's just uh, your money's so vulnerable, right? So I had some money in a stock this year, and that it went up by 25%, and I was like, yeah. And then it went up to 50%. Like, sweet, I sold some of it, and I should have sold all of it because now it's down like almost like that company almost died. Like I don't know what, but it was at like I don't know $7 a share, and now it's like at 15 cents. So anyway, that's the stock market, right? That's what it can do. And so there's a place for it, but it's not where I ultimately want to keep my money if I want it protected and predictable. Okay. Gold and silver, it's probably a good, safe place to sink your money into with one major problem is that it's not producing a monthly income. It's only going to be worth something if you sell it in the future, and hopefully the value is worth more than what you pay for it. And there's no guarantee in that. So I'm like, that's not really for me. Crypto's fun. I'm investing in crypto. I got some different things that I'm doing. I don't have a huge percent of my portfolio in there. I have a very small one, but I'm learning and I'm testing. But it's the Wild West. As we can see, there's like crypto is very interesting to me. I will continue to play in this space, but it's risky. Okay. All right. And then banks, uh, very safe, very predictable, but are they profitable? They don't pay very much usually. Banks is like, yeah, I'll keep your money safe. I'll keep it secure. And but I'm only going to pay you 1% if you're lucky, right? Or if you have a CD, maybe get 2%, maybe 3 if you do a really long CD kind of thing, right? Um, and then real estate. Real estate, of course, is my main. I might be biased because I've been working in this space for the last 20 years, but there's a lot of different ways to invest in real estate, but there's some problems with it. And I know because I'm right in the front lines of it. Let's kind of address some of those problems with real estate. So real estate is, at least in my area, it's been overpriced for years. It's just way overpriced until we hit a major downturn. It's just often, you're not paying a premium to get in. Okay. And then management fees, time investment, maintenance costs. Oh no, I got to put a new roof on. Market cycles. We're having one right now. Deadbeat tenants, raising property taxes. You get the idea. So these are some things that kind of plague real estate investing, and why a lot of people ultimately get burned out on them and to put their money back in something more passive, maybe not as profitable. Yeah, so I mean, so these are the most common, rental homes, right? We just talked about that. It can be very lucrative, especially if you have many of them, but you're gonna have to replace the furnace, and you're gonna have to fix the leaks, and you're gonna have to, update the roof and paint the house occasionally. And the same thing with multifamily, like it's just on a greater scale. There's more doors, right? So uh, the idea is you're a little bit more diversified, but even in the Boise area where I live, like multifamily is so overpriced, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's like 200,000 a door, and it's just like it's insane how much investors are paying for those. Airbnb is a really cool option. I like Airbnbs. I have lots of friends who do Airbnbs, and they are very successful with them. But I kind of see it as more of a business than an investment. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts on Airbnb, and you can pay people to take care of them for you. They'll just take a chunk. But getting that set up and that whole thing, there's a lot going on there, and there's a lot continues to go on there because that is a moving target, and it's just as long as you know that going in, right? Not passive. Commercial, uh, you know, commercial is good, but you kind of need deep pockets to play in commercial. Have you ever, and let me give, I'm sure if you've driven around whatever town you're in, you've seen some commercial buildings that just stay vacant for the longest time before somebody else moves in. So it can be commercial investments can be great until that main tenant moves out because and getting somebody else in there, it's not like a rental property where you're just get somebody in there in a week or so. Commercial, it takes months, months and months, but sometimes years, and then sometimes you're having to do a lot of TIs and the whole thing. Like commercial is good, but it takes deep pockets. Develop, build, this is basically land investments. I've done this, and this can be quite profitable, but highly risky. Highly risky because you're kind of at the mercy sometimes of investing a ton of time and expenses, and then having a county or a city or a neighborhood or something shut you down or whatever, right? It's like things can change. So it just that's a it's a risky one. Not passive. If you're just holding on land until it's worth more and you sell it later, that's interesting, but it's not producing a cash flow, which I don't like. And so this development, this is cool, but it's a high risk and you only get your money in the end, right? Flipping, kind of the same way. So it's high risk, lots of moving parts. You don't make any money until the very end, and hopefully there's enough left over, right? You just run that risk each time you do that. So I'm doing that. I've been very successful with flipping, but I'm wanting to add more things to my investment strategy so that I don't get stuck, right? And put myself in a situation where I might lose, right? So, which leaves like private lending. So private lending is really interesting, and it's this entity where I don't think it's talked about enough. And so, interesting enough, there's a tie-in a little bit with part of my strategy with this. So let me jump to the next slide and just kind of tell you because private lending is kind of like what the bank does. If you think about lending in general, like what the bank does versus what a landlord does, being the bank versus the landlord. So the bank, your mortgage company, whoever you pay your mortgage to, what do they do? Once they got set up, what are they really doing? They're not doing anything, right? They're just collecting your checks each and every month. Now, they'll do something if you don't pay, but that's it. That's basically what they do. They're just there until whatever. And it's the reason why banks make so much money, right? They just have money coming in. It's amortized, so a lot of times, the loans they're getting really good returns on them and they don't have to deal with repairs and improvements. They don't have to deal with raising property taxes and insurance costs. They don't have to manage tenant requests or issues. They don't have to deal with complaints from neighbors, HOA, police. Which, if you've ever owned rental properties or been a landlord, you've probably dealt with any and all of these many times. So, but the, but it is truly more of a passive investment when you are the bank. I like that. So, knowing that, I started really looking at it. And I've done investments where I have been the lender, before, and there's problems with it, right? So I wanted to kind of look to find some things like, is there ways to be the bank and not have some of the challenges with the bank? Because I think one of the main challenges with a bank normally is that if somebody stops paying, it's a long time for you can do the foreclosure and get them out and get the property back. There's a process for it, but it can be a long time. So I found that in the past, that is not a very good place to be unless you've planned for it, budgeted for it, have a plan, right? So, um, but let me just kind of ask you a question, okay? And that is, when because if you got money to invest, and if you're thinking about real estate, I want you to ask yourself this question. If someone's given a choice to pay $1,000 a month in rent for a home, or $1,000 a month to own it, same property, same amount going out, same cost. But would you rather rent it or own it? What would most people say? Yeah, right. Most people would want to own it. I'd say like 90% of the people would probably say own. And the only time you really want to rent is if you know it's going to be short term, right? Most time, long term, yeah, I'd rather own it. Lots of benefits of owning. So I started working on this idea with these affordable home investments. Okay, so what does this mean? I'm going to break it all down, but basically, affordable housing is a major issue all across the nation, and particularly in Boise, Idaho. Our cost of homes has gone up crazy. Now, the real estate costs have come down a smidge, decent smidge, okay, but rents haven't yet. In fact, more people are being pushed into renting because real estate costs are still so high. All right, so um, and so cost of living here is very, very hard, and there's not very much affordable housing options out there. Um, and so there's incredible demand for affordable housing, and it's kind of recession proof in a sense. Okay, hear me out, because there's always going to be demand for nice, affordable housing. Okay, that's available. I mean, and there's some ways that I'm leveraging this asset class to make it more predictable returns, more cash flow, and have less risk. Okay, so the basis of the strategy is that I'm trying to do for myself, right? Is create a retirement-like pension through real estate. Okay, and so what I mean by that is I want it truly passive, like a bank, right? I don't want to deal with all the landlording stuff. I want just to come in every month if I can. And then I want to avoid some of the challenges the bank has, and I want to make sure that I'm in an asset class that's always going to be in demand, right? It's highly in demand, it's affordable housing. And so this is kind of the direction of what I want, what I'm trying to set up. And so what I've done, which I started, is delivering affordable housing to Boise area residents, okay? And and that but these homes I'm targeting are ones that banks don't finance. I don't know why. Okay, because think about it. If you go to the bank, you can get a mortgage for a house. Most houses in your town, right? You can get a loan for your car, your RV, your boat, your trailer. But are you going to get a loan on a mobile home, a manufactured house? Not no. The answer is no. Not with most banks. You're gonna have to go to a specific kind of private lender, niche marketer out there. If you can find it, which are hard to find, there are very few. There's like millions of like banks, or not millions, but there's hundreds of thousands of banks, around here in the United States. But there's probably just like a handful of banks, a dozen or so that might do mobile home. It's just really small niche factor. And I didn't realize this because actually flipped a couple mobile homes part of my flipping process. I got them a good deal. I was like, oh, it's in a nice area. Let's try it. And I made a killing on it. It was good. But I realized, I was reminded when I did that, yeah, I got to sell these for cash. And I knew that going in. But once the market kind of slowed down, I realized that, even people have cash, are a little bit nervous about spending it. But here's all these mobile homes in this area, and nobody can finance them. Now, if you can make them nice, like real nice, like I flip houses, like I make them nice. I take an old lame duck and I make it awesome. I make it the nicest trailer in the area, and people want it, but they don't always have the cash to buy it. So I become the bank, and some of these borrowers are pretty solid. They got good jobs, but they just, the price point, the average price of a home in the Boise area is like over 400,000. And the average price of a home that I'm selling, or the mobile home, is like 90,000. It's so much less. So, but the same square footage, same bedroom count, all that kind of stuff, right? It's a big difference. So yeah. So what I do is I buy homes, manufacture homes on the cheap. I buy it because they're fixer uppers. I have a whole marketing system, a whole team that helps you find deals. It's hard to find deals in a market like Boise, but with my marketing background, and I've built this up over my flipping business over the last few years. So I have a process that I do. So I find good deals, and then my rehab team goes in and fixes them up real nice. This one in the background is one of my properties that we fixed up, and I usually get 10% down, and I usually charge 10% interest rate. That's it. That's what I do. And a lot of times, some people are like, "Gosh, I don't want a 10% loan." I'm like, "Okay, you can rent it, but it costs more because I find that when I'm doing is that I set up their loan payment to actually be at or less than the cost of market rents in the area. So going back to that kind of core, philosophy or core idea of people would rather own than rent. Okay, yeah. So this is how I create a lot of demand for my investments. So let me just give you an idea of, so yeah, so I have this project, this project I'm working on. I started this summer, been meaning to get to it for a while, but I finally got it, implemented. And where I'm building this pension that of money coming in every month that ultimately I won't have to work on. And I'm setting this idea up so other people can do it too. So just hold on with me just a second, because um, well, let me show you an example. Okay, let me just show you an example. Okay, so for example, this is an actual property that I have. It's part of my portfolio, right? I've already finished it. It's making money. Okay, I bought a mobile home in Boise, kind of over by like if you're familiar with Boise, it's over by the Barnes and Noble. Good spot. Uh, Bought it for 25,000, put a little over 20,000 into it. Had some other costs. Basically, I'm into it about 47,000. I sold it for 70, got 10 grand down. So there's a loan on it. I owner carried for 60,000. I'm the bank, right? 60,000 is the loan. Their payment is 653.39 a month. These people also pay the lot rent because this is in a mobile home park. So this plus the lot rent is their payment, and those two together are still at or below market rents for the area. Okay. Now, what's this down here in the blue? This is for people like you, for people that I work with. I create a opportunity for other investors to get in on this type of investment. And what I do is I say, hey, I'm going to prevent this opportunity for you, and I'm going to take out all the risk and keep all the predictability and the profitability with it. So here's how it works. Again, I am in it for about 47. So in this scenario, I would, work with an investor partner. If they lent me 47,000, which helps me recoup my cash, okay, I'll pay them 9%, and it works out to be 352 every month. And this loan will have this property and this note as collateral, right? So this is your collateral. If something happens to me, you get this, right? And and since you're getting a loan through me and not through some tenant, guess what you get from me? The guy with 850 credit score, the guy that hasn't missed a payment in 20 years, and it's because I'm tying it to the property, and basically, you know, uh, it's, look how much money I have to make this payment, in other words, right? And the best part for you is if these people stop paying, they lose their job, guess what? It does not impact you. I keep paying this, right? That's paid off. So, anyway, this is an example of how um, I'm building this retirement pension because once it's done, it's fairly passive. It's really passive for you, okay? But mostly passive for me. I mean, it's not passive at all until I have it done. Once it's done, it's a lot of work that goes into it. Then once it's done, then it's making this much for me each month. And yes, occasionally people are going to stop making their payment. I'll have to put somebody else in there, and that's for me to figure out. But these mobile homes allow me, because the cost is so low compared to other real estate, I can have multiple of these ones, and I do. So the more that I have, the more my money is diversified. So if I have 10, 20 of these things, then if two are not paying, no big deal, right? If five are not paying and I got the turnout, it's no big deal when you start having diversification. For you, it won't matter if you do this, if you become the bank for me. Yeah. All right. Show you another example. This one's at a little higher price point. Purchase amount 65. This one needed a lot of work. This was larger though. It's a 4 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,500 square foot um, mobile home in um, in the area, and they basically. So I was all into this one about 130. Once it's all done, I sold it for 170. The down payment they get was substantial, almost 40 grand. So I gave them a little bit better interest rate, and so the payment that they're making every month is almost 1,300, right? Now, in this scenario, I wouldn't need to get the whole 130. I'd probably just do the 100,000 because they put down a large down payment. Okay, that helped lower my costs, and therefore Yeah, your payment would be if you did this through me, I would be paying you or your retirement account or wherever you wanted me to send the money to us for $750. Okay, that's what that works out to be every month. It comes in your bank account, predictable, like clockwork. And so, yeah, I'll show you another one. Here's another one. We just closed on this one, this December, and all in, we're at about 165, sold for 200. The payments 1667, getting 10% on that. But basically down here, this would be the loan that I would likely do with an investor partner. They would make 1200 a month, predictable, you know, which is a good return compared to where you're going to get elsewhere. In fact, let me just show you this. All right, so here is an example. If you had 90,000 to invest and you had if you had it in your bank savings account because you're too nervous about keeping it in the stock market because it's too crazy, okay? After if it was in there for 5 years, you would have made 7 grand on that 1.5%. It's something. But if you had it in a money market, you'd make about the same. You put in a CD though, you might make another few grand, right? Um, but if you invested it through my company, Invest in Me, be the bank for me, you'd be, more like at 40,000, okay, with your 9,000 after 5 years. So that's quite a different return, okay? I just want to illustrate that. But what if you don't have 100,000 to invest? Occasionally, I have ones that are cheaper, like this one. So this one I bought for pretty cheap. It's small trailer, and it needed a fair amount of work, more than I thought. But I worked out in the end because I got it done, um, and I sold it for 45, got 5K down, and then I'm making 500 a month, and then this is the loan I would get on it, 225, you know. So for 30K investment, and this one you'd only need 30,000 to make it work. And it's pictures of what it looks like inside. You can see like all these ones. We make it look nice. You see this one before, like we make it look nice. These are desirable. I got a lot of people raising their hands, which helps me to be picky about who I'm gonna, put in there. Here's my current pipeline. So I got these ones in blue done, and here's the ones that are still in the queue. Okay, so these are being worked on right now. You can see for these different, usually when I'm working with an investor partner, I'll look to get a loan for roughly what I have into it. So if here's a 57 one, here's a 90, here's a 45. I got this one that's really cheap. It's really tiny, 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 tiny mobile home. You don't usually do them that small, but I was wanted to help out this person. And anyway, so you can see this is kind of the different levels of investment, and each pocket of money gets tied to a mobile home. So if you had 300,000 to invest, then we'd say, okay, we'll do this one, whatever. We'd pick them all, and my attorney would draft up the the right documents so that you were fully protected and it was very clear and all that kind of stuff. We take out all the gray, you want it really black and white. Don't want to mess with it. And that's why I use attorneys and stuff. You don't want to mess around. I know I'm a trustworthy guy, but you want to make sure you're protected, and that's why we use a attorney, and you can always use yours or whatever. Okay, it's all good. Let's see. Why I'm doubling down on this strategy, right? So there's a lot less competition, and most people are just like, "Oh, mobile homes, they'll make money. They devalue in time." No, they don't. They do if you don't make them nice. But if you're in an area that's needing affordable housing, they are just getting more and more demand as the cost of housing goes up and up and up. And so yeah, there's endless demand especially when I make them nice, right? And then make them nice and provide financing for them. That's where the endless demand is, and it solves a problem. Housing, affordable housing is a major issue in my community, and so it's kind of nice to be in the forefront of solving that problem. And you might be thinking, oh, you're charging these people 10%. That's too high. Says who? Because 10% seems high to you? No, it's still less than what they'd pay for rent. So, uh, if it was way higher than they're paying for rent, yes, make that comment. But if it's below, don't get to make that comment, right? Um, Set up to be truly passive, right? That's why I don't want to be the landlord. I don't want to be the bank. And if that's my recommendation for you too. And that's why I've set it up the way I set it up. Not responsible for lot rent or maintenance, right? Yeah, that's one of the things. Like if I don't want to be a mobile home park manager. Ugh, too much management. No, thank you. I want individual nice ones that I can control and turn into little money machines. Here, here, and here, and here. Right. That's what I'm doing. And a part of the reason I can do this and bring in investment partners is because I'm buying them cheap. I'm doing, instead of flipping them for cash, I'm flipping them in, and then financing them and letting you in on the deal. Okay. Yeah. So, higher cash flow returns with lower risk, more cash flowing assets, the better, right? So, for example, of that block that I showed you, that 9 properties or something, that's altogether, that's probably around 400,000 worth of assets that once all the rehab is done, okay, maybe 450, somewhere in that range, and so that might buy me a nice home in Meridian around here that I can rent for 2,000 a month. But in this strategy, I'm going to bring in more like 6 or 7 grand a month with that. Okay, I'm well diversified, so that if one goes down, I got other ones making money. So I'm making more money, and it's more diversified, it's more protected. This is why it's much better. Okay, it seems clear to me, and it meets my investment goals. Okay, if I can find a better one, I'll shift, but I can't seem to find a better opportunity than this. Questions? Sure, you got them. Let's talk about it. Okay, questions and answers. So if you were to work with me, an investment partner, like what happens though if like it's nice, because I could make you a 50/50 partner in the ownership of the mobile home, but then you carry the same risk. What if they stop paying? Yeah, the money stops coming in until it's fixed. Okay, what if they stop paying? I got to foreclose them and pay attorney fees and then fix some things when they get out and all that kind of stuff. Yep, that's what you're signing up for if you're an actual owner of the property, like I will be. But in your case, you're just getting a loan through me. So if something happens to me, my estate will pay for it, but and or like you can just take the paperwork over to the attorney and you'll basically assume the full amount that I was getting on it, right? You'll get that full ownership of that house and that note that's on it that I have. What if I need to pull out the money if it's stuck? Good question. This is a long-term investment strategy for me, for you. Like the flipping is a short-term one, right? But doesn't get me where I want to go. So I'm forcing myself to think more long-term and keep my money in play longer, right? And um, and so yeah, so this is a long-term investment. However, your money is not stuck, okay? And so basically, the way it works is that if you invested 100,000, through me, right, in this process to me, and I'm paying on it. But what you call me and be like, hey, Mike, something's happened. We have a medical issue or whatever, and we need to get the money out. Okay, all right. You're not going to get it tomorrow, but what I'm basically going to help you do is say, all right, well, you're making 9% on your money. It's passive. It's protected. It's collateralized. It's good. It's consistent. There's a whole list of other people who are going to want that same loan as you, that you have. So basically, just like I bring on an investor, I just bring on another investor who basically buys you out and takes over your loan, your loan, right? That's it. It's actually not that hard. It's very simple. It's actually a little assignment. It's actually takes a day. I already have the paperwork, but basically it's super fast. But I don't want you to depend on that. I'd say, give yourself a month, but it only may take a week, but give yourself a month, right? Just because in case it takes, a couple weeks to identify a person and have them move their money and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. How much money do I need? Well, you saw my average one now is about 50 grand, right? So all in on some of these. And so this is all you need to be able to do one. Hopefully you have, if it works good and you like it and you want to try it out, you want to do more, great. I mean, compared to other options, this is a pretty safe bet. This is safe. It's a kind of, I've tried to design it that way, right? Um, what if your buyer doesn't pay me, right? So yeah, so what, I'm getting paid each month and then I pay you, right? But what if I don't get, the buyer doesn't pay? I already kind of covered this, but I'll say it again. Um, I'm your payer, right? So you won't even know if the buyer that I have in that mobile home stops paying me. That's just something to be that I or my team has to deal with. So yeah, it's unrelated. So that's the beauty. That's by design. So yeah, I mean, the sooner I can get that resolved, the better it is for me. But it has zero impact on you. How do I handle this on my taxes? So I got this one the other day. So you'll just get a monthly statement at the, at the end of each year, and it says, all right, this is how much interest you've earned. Send this over to your accountant, CPA, and they'll usually it counts as interest income on your taxes, and you'll pay some taxes on it, unless you're investing through a self-directed retirement plan. Okay, and if you're not doing that, or if you already have a sizable chunk of money in a retirement account, like a 401k or something else through your work, whatever, um, you can convert it, transfer it into a self-directed plan, and do this strategy through it. And this is a really great strategy to do through a self-directed IRA because you can grow all that money. It can grow tax-free. Yeah. Mm. Um, the downside with self-directed IRAs is that if you're doing like traditional real estate investing, like you have a rental property, it can be very expensive on the fees because you basically have to use this third party to do all the management for you and pay all the bills and do all these things, because they want the separation of money, and it's and all those little mini transactions and services that they do for you, they charge a lot of fees for, and therefore it gets expensive. So that's the downside of those types of accounts. But with my kind, there is no other things. I'm just putting money in your account. There's no maintenance, no roof you have to fix. There's no plumber you got to pay. There's no uh, carpet, new carpet install you have to do. Okay. It's just money in your bank account. You are, also, I got this one the other day too. So why do I need to borrow, right? If I'm making this good money, why would I need to, get lending partners? Well, real simple is that I only have so much money. Can I put it out to play? And then it's in these properties, and then I'm out of purchasing power. And so by working with investor partners, even though my cash flow comes down, it allows me to buy, you know, in theory, an infinite amount of properties. I can keep buying. So I get cashed out, allows me to go do another one. I can bring another investment partner, and allows me to do another property. So like I said, I have all those properties that I have that I showed you the list in my pipeline. I use my own money to do that, and to buy them and fix it up. And now I bring in the partners. Now that's making money. That's when I bring in the partner, and then it's all good from there. I'll go out and buy more once I get replenished. So that looks like. So you can see this is my retirement pension project. I'm literally building my pension. I didn't work for the state or the government or a big corporation that pays a pension when you retire. I have to create one, and I want one. I don't want to have to work so hard forever, right? Wouldn't it be nice to have this predictable income coming in to your account every month? It's possible. And I think I'm proving it, right? I'm proving that it's possible. And I like this strategy a lot. Uh, and I don't know why more people are not paying attention to it. And I'm thankful for that because, hey, more for us, right? Anyway, if you have questions, just reach out. You can schedule a meeting with me. If you're not local, we'll do a Zoom call. If you're local, we'll meet up. We'll talk about it. Ask all the questions you want. You can see some of the properties I'm doing if you want. Whatever you want. We can just chat it out. See if this is a good fit for you. This is my contact information right here. So this is how you get a hold of me. And yeah. So anyway, I hope you got something from this. Even if this is not a good fit for you or not a good fit for you now, hope it gave you some ideas, got you thinking about investing in a different way, so that hopefully 2023, things go well for you with your money. Okay, all right. Reach out with questions. Happy New Year. Let's have a good 2023. Take care.